Hi, welcome to another episode of Resonate with Edgehill and Davis. I'm Owen Edgehill.
And I'm David Davis.
How you doing?
I'm good.
Good. I like it when you keep saying good. But then again, at the same time, right, D?
I mean it though. I mean
Good.
it.
Yeah, I'm glad that... I know you mean it, but a lot of people don't mean it. Which is quite sad, really. I don't mean that in being any form of being pretentious or judgmental, but a lot of people don't mean it, and it's sad when they say that they're all right when they're not all right.
Yeah, we've done that route though, haven't we?
We've done the route, but
it just needs to be reiterated.
Yeah, repetition is the mother of skill, right?
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
The human brain is kind of wired up in relation to what we do as habits. And if you do it enough times, you don't think there's anything wrong with it.
Right.
And maybe there might not be anything wrong with it. But 9 times out of 10, if you are doing the same old thing and getting the same old results, and they're not results that you're happy with, it's not the right thing to be doing, is it?
No.
But that's how our brain's wired up.
Right.
So somehow we've got to kind of unwire that thought, for instance. Yeah, I'm good, knowing inside that you're not.
Right. Yeah. So, here we are again.
Yeah.
In the studio.
Anything wrong with that?
Nothing wrong with that. I'm glad I'm here. Hi to everyone. Hope all's well with you. Right. So, what I want to have a discussion about with you, Dean, get your views on and everybody else's views, as always.
Some good views, by the way. Some good points.
Excellent views.
Come out.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Really good. Keep them coming. Yeah.
Did you say that? Or
yeah.
We both said
we was in tandem. That's because we're in tandem, man. You know what I mean?
It's not the rehearsed.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Let's get serious. Come on.
Let's get serious. Who sung that?
I don't know.
Is it Jermaine Jackson?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, there you go. 1.5 million.
Private joke.
Right. I want to get your views on I want to have a discussion with you about the negative impact that being in a wrong relationship brings to everyone connected in that relationship. So, give you an example. When I split up from my ex, not only did it impact me, but it impacted my friends, it impacted family.
Long-term relationship.
Yeah. Right? So, and it happens to a lot of people.
Oh, yeah.
So I want to discuss with everyone and yourself, D, in terms of what can an individual do in order to prevent the relationship going awry, and as a result it doesn't impact on everybody else, if you know what I mean. So in other words, how do we get to be in a situation where we're in a right relationship?
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And a few things have popped into my head. One of them being a checklist. You're laughing. But one of them being a checklist, D, right? Because most people, and I include myself in this, whenever you meet someone for the first time, all you're doing is you're just buzzing about the fact that you've met someone.
Gargle,
right.
dribble. Yeah,
right. You're not thinking to yourself, what is this person like? Not only that, what do I want from this person? Most people, and I include myself, go into it blindly.
Yeah.
Because it's the superficial. You see somebody who's your type, you're getting on and everything like that.
Or you think he's your type. Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, it's only when something happens, like, there's children involved, you know, there's a mortgage involved, there's marriage involved, and then you get to a point where you think to yourself, bloody hell, what happened?
Yeah.
And now it's impacting on me as a person, or you, or whoever. But it's also, if you've got family, it's impacting on your family, and if you've got children, it's going to impact on your children as well. So I just want to.
But this is happening more and more and more in relationships.
Right.
Yeah.
And I believe that the reason why it's happening more and more is because nobody's got a checklist.
Well, the reason why I smiled about that comment on the checklist, I actually wrote a checklist.
Right.
For the relationship, as in the marriage that I'm in now, and we're coming up to 7 years.
Wow.
And if I've got that wrong, she'll kill me. Yeah, we've been together for 10, 11. She's gonna kill. You're gonna kill me. I know. And that's coming up in the next few weeks.
Right.
So I've just come out of a long-term relationship,
Right.
as you mentioned you did,
Right.
and as most people do,
Right.
and you kind of think, where did that go wrong? But I had such a good friend. She was female, and she just said to me, so what are you going to do about your next relationship? I said, I don't know. I'll just find someone I like, you know, as I always have done. She went, no. She said, you need to write a list. Write a list of what you want in your partner.
Right.
And don't make it just superficial.
Right.
Don't make it just because you want long legs, and all the rest of it.
Right.
Make it so it's meaningful, as well as the aesthetic side of it.
Yeah.
Because obviously, you want to be able to think, every time I look at that person, God, I fancy you, I love you, and all the rest of it. I fancy you. And the love then comes after.
Right.
So what is the love? The love is deeper than just the aesthetics, right?
Right.
So I wrote my list. And you're not going to believe this, but I had 32 things on that list. 32. And it was things like, you need to have, you need to be beautiful. You need to have beautiful eyes that I can look at. You need to have, you need to be, dressed well. You need to even have your own house. You need to. So there's just a multitude of things.
Right.
But then the deeper things were, you need to come from a good family. You need to have morals. You need to be able to kind of, a loving person, have those emotions, be able to communicate. So all of those things that I probably didn't get from my previous relationships.
And was that because you didn't have a checklist?
Because I didn't have a checklist.
Right.
And again, it's like kissing frogs. But you can keep kissing the same frog. There comes a time when you have to go, hang on a minute. All I am doing is kissing frogs. But what do I want from that frog?
Right.
So my wife, beautiful woman that she is, wonderful person inside and out, absolutely amazing family, and all of those things that I kind of wanted spiritually within herself,
Right.
that would hopefully match my inner person.
Right.
It's 29. So she got 29 out of 32.
Right.
And I thought to myself, you're never going to get 32. No one has perfection in anything, do we? We don't have perfection in anything.
Yeah.
And I just thought, 29, that's amazing. And here we are, hit it off, and we've continued just as we've started.
So you talked about the aesthetic side of it, the looks and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then you mentioned about good family upbringing, morals, ethics.
Yeah.
So what happens then in that situation if she wasn't from a good family? Would that have been a strike off?
That would have been a major strike.
That would have been a major strike.
Major strike.
And what about moralistically? Would that have been a major
All
strike?
of those things would have been a major strike, because you can have all the looks and all of those in the world, you know. And I'm not taking anything away from you beautiful women out there, but it's kind of what is deeper inside. I think there comes to a point when you know what you want, you know what you deserve, because you know who you are.
Right.
And because I live on those morals, I live on that family basing. I live on that element where if you can't connect that side of me, then obviously, and I'm not connecting with that side of you, it's never going to work.
Right.
It's never going to work. And communication was a big thing as well. That had to be a big thing.
Yeah.
Because, you know, when you people watch,
Right. Right.
and for instance, you go out to a restaurant, a cafe, whatever, and you get couples that sit down and they just look at each other. They start eating, have a drink. Can I have the bill? You know, after about an hour and a half, can I have the bill now? Yeah. And they then go home or go wherever they go. And they've not really said more than 2 words together. And I just kind of think, why are you actually in a relationship? If you're not communicating, especially when, because sometimes I'm not saying I communicate 24/7, because you can go home and not communicate with someone because they might be busy doing this, you might be busy doing that, but at some point you will talk. But if you're purposely going out together to sit down, to have, say, fun, to have a good time with each other, in each other's company, surely you should be able to communicate.
Yeah. And that's where I'm coming from with it. Unless you've got that checklist, and it might sound really clinical to a lot of people. It might sound a lot clinical, right? He's got to be like this, she's got to be like that, they've got to be like whatever. But if you don't have the checklist, the opposite of that then is to be in a relationship for 5, 6, 7, 10, 15, 20 years with someone that you're not happy with, that you've ultimately never been happy with, because they've never ticked the things that stood out for you in terms of what you wanted from that particular person.
Yeah.
But the flip side of that is, someone can say, I want a man with good morals, I want a man who's emotionally sophisticated, or I want a woman who's emotionally sophisticated, working on themselves. But that same person who's saying that, unless they are that person who's emotionally sophisticated, who's got morals, they're never going to meet that person. Ever. Because birds of a feather flock together. Right?
100%.
Right. So there are a lot of people, and I include myself back in the day, that was always frustrated. Why can't I meet somebody who's all right? And the reality is, I wasn't all right. And that's why I met people who weren't all right.
You didn't know who you were.
No.
Therefore, you didn't know what you wanted.
Exactly.
Therefore, how can you expect to find the person that is going to be matching you if you don't know who you are?
Right. And it comes back to what we've always said on our episodes today about living in this, I've certainly said it, living in this sick society that gets us to focus on everything else apart from the fundamentals. You know, when you was back at school and you had like home economics and PE and that kind of thing, what about a lesson on how to find someone?
Relationship.
What about a lesson? This is what you need. You need a checklist.
Yeah.
And have an half an hour conversation when you're at school about that. What about that? It sounds like too good to be true to have that kind of conversation, but we're having it now. So it can be had.
And it should be had.
Yeah. But yet it's not had.
It's not had.
And it spoils and creates a lot of trauma, to use that word, in relationships, because someone isn't in the right relationship with that other person.
And you probably knew this after the love is gone. Who sung that? Earth, Wind and Fire.
Yeah, nice one.
So after the initial lust has gone, not love.
Right.
After
Lust,
the initial lust has gone, then you get to the nitty gritty. Once the mask has slipped, then you get to the nitty gritty of that relationship. Could take 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, whatever. And then you think
Probably longer if they're a good actor or a good
well,
actress.
And that's a mask is fixed on,
Yeah.
hard enough. And you get through and you go, 6 years in, I want a child. What? I'd like to have a child now. Because we've been in this relationship for a long time. You know my mum. My mum loves you. You know my dad. My dad takes you to football, this, that. My little brother. You take him to karate and all. So you're in this relationship, not just with that person, but with the family, friends.
Right. That's what I mentioned. Yeah.
You're in this relationship that you've built over 6, 7, whatever it is, years.
Right.
And all of a sudden, one of the partners go, I want a baby. And you go, well, I don't. And it's like, but why? But we've never spoken about it. And it's like, but I didn't think we need to because we're in a relationship. Mm-hmm. And there's so many people I know that have got to that level and have never spoken about having children. And of course, because you're now in a bigger group of the relationship,
right,
family, friends, it's going to be soul destroying just to walk away. And some people don't walk away, and then they stay in that relationship knowing, but I want a baby. I'm getting to an age where I need to have a baby. And my partner's telling me the guy that I love, or the person that I love, they're telling me they don't want a baby. Why wasn't that one of the first things when you sat down, your first, second, third date? Don't leave it any longer than that. Third date, because if it's a third date, this is going well.
Right.
It seems if it's going to be going well.
Yeah.
Don't leave it any longer than that. Sit down and look at your values.
Right.
What is it you want from a relationship?
Right.
What do you think you need from me? What are your dreams? What are you? Do you want to be a company director? Do you want to be a footballer? Whatever you want to be. Tell me what you want to be, and I'm going to tell you what I would like to be, and let's have that that two-way conversation.
Yeah.
That's what we started at the top of this about communication.
Right.
So you've got to talk.
Right. But not many people know that.
But people don't want to do that because they're thinking with the lust side of the brain,
right,
rather than the deep emotional loving side of the brain. And if this goes on and on and on, someone's going to be unhappy.
Right. Yeah.
At some point, someone's going to be unhappy.
Right.
And
not just someone though, because if that relationship breaks down, as I mentioned right at the top of this, D, my family, your family, whoever's family, they're going to be upset because they can see now that you're upset because your relationship's failed. And it just goes on, and then your friends are going to be upset because they can see you upset. Yeah.
And what happens is, when it keeps failing, different relationships, your family's thinking, what are you doing? Why is it every time, we meet someone that's really nice, you brought them into our home.
Right.
They've met your little brother, because I spoke about little brother earlier. They've met your little brother, and now they've gone. It's about the fifth time. What's going on with you?
Right.
And is anyone sitting down with that conversation with that person?
Probably not.
I was lucky I had Helen, if you're out there, I haven't spoken to her for ages. That's something I need to do. But she was the one that said to me, you need to write it down.
Right.
And be strict with what you want.
Right.
And yes, some of it can be superficial, but mainly make it that it's part of you, your inner emotions, part of you. Because if you don't, you're not going to have that connection, long-lasting connection.
But people watching this might say, well, how do you get to that point where you can think about the type of person that you want if that person is not doing any work on themselves to be aware of what to do? That's the key. If you're not aware of what to do, you say Helen said that to you, but if you've not got an equivalent of Helen telling you that this is what you need to do, then you're going to keep making that mistake over and over again. aren't you?
Yeah, as I've said, you will, because you don't know. You're just kissing frogs without looking at what that frog is all about.
Right.
Let's look at it here's another slant to it. Let's look at it on a marketing point of view.
Right.
And if I'm an advertiser,
Yeah.
and I want to sell washing powder to you, you're on the TV screen, you're watching the TV, I don't know, Happy Valley on Netflix is finished, and that ad comes on. You don't get ads on Netflix, do you? Okay, BBC no, these are BBC. ITV1. And an ad comes on, and it's telling you soap powder. And it's telling you your washing is going to be clean in 2 minutes. It's telling you you don't have to put the temperature up
Right.
too high, which is going to save you electricity.
Right.
It's giving you the USPs.
Right.
And then you're buying into that.
Right.
But if you don't know what those USPs are,
Yeah.
how can you buy it?
Right.
So
Fine.
your USPs are that list that I've kind of written down
Yeah.
to match the person that's watching and looking and the one that's going to be introduced to me, and they're going to think, they match my USPs.
Right.
I like that.
Right.
You're going to go out there and buy that washing machine. You're going to think, yeah, it's going to save me electricity. It's going to wash my clothes in 20 minutes. It's going to, all of these things. It's just like marketing. You have to market yourself, but you need to know what you're marketing.
Right. Right. And how are you going to know what your marketing is without working on yourself to get to that point, as we always say, doing the inner work to get to that point where you know yourself, so therefore you can turn around and say, right, this is what I want. And there's no compromise. Right? You said, how many did you have? 29 or something?
29 out of 32.
Out of 32.
Now, what I'm saying is some people only have a list, should maybe have a list of 5.
Right.
Maybe I was being... No, I'm not. No, I wasn't. I wasn't being pedantic. I wasn't being...
Was that because of a previous relationship that you had that long list, or was that because of just what you wanted?
Well, many previous relationships.
Right. That didn't go right, so you thought,
Correct.
right, this
Yeah.
is what I need
Yeah.
in this one.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
It's the frog syndrome, isn't it?
Right.
You kiss as many until you find the one, but as long as you know what you actually want. And maybe that possession, I didn't know what I wanted. God, remember
Before you had the list.
Before I had the list.
Right, yeah, because I was going to say, if you've got the list, you won't be kissing all them frogs, would you?
Correct.
If you've
You
got the
shouldn't
list.
be. No, you
because you've
shouldn't.
got, right, okay, then this is what, no, it's not for me.
Correct.
So you're not even getting involved
Yeah.
in that person.
Yeah.
Right, okay, that's...
It's date 1, date 2, that's it, done.
Right.
If I'm not feeling it, if you're not, haven't got that communication, that connection in relation to what I'm expecting, what my intentions are from you and your intentions that I have for me,
Right.
well then there's no point going on a third date.
Yeah, yeah.
What's wasting your time and my time? Why?
Right.
So you've just wasted 6-7 years of your life without asking that question. I wanted a baby.
Right.
I would like to have a child.
Oh, I didn't want one.
Or I didn't want one.
Right.
Either or.
Yeah.
Because if on that second date you went, I don't want one, and that other person says, well, I do, you know there's not going to be a third date.
Right.
And you haven't wasted 7 years of your life.
But what about those people, D, who think, I'll change him,
Yes.
or I'll change her,
Again, you get that. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You do get that, don't you?
Yeah, of course you do.
But then
course
that's their folly, because when it gets to the point of this is what I want, and that person's steadfast in terms of no, I don't want it. I told you I didn't want it,
Yeah.
or vice versa. Then you're in a situation where you've just like wasted, as you said, all those years in that
And
situation.
then if you do happen to change, because some people think they're manipulating, they do,
Yeah,
that other person's not happy.
no, not at all.
She wanted a baby, and this is just an example.
Yeah,
But it's a big example.
big example.
Because why are there so many more broken families? Why are there so many more single parents?
Great point.
Why are there so many more children in school that haven't got a father to look up to, or someone in their life, another partnership in their life
Excellent point.
to look up to.
Yeah.
There's more and more and more and more and more.
Right.
Which means there's more and more and more and more people not looking at themselves
Right.
to truly find out what they really want.
Right.
And they can only know that by going in their inner self.
Fantastic. And we've just said that in a nutshell, D. But look at how much grief it's saved you in terms of having that checklist. Eventually. And me. Yeah. Myself as well.
Because we're only human,
Because
right?
we're only, yeah. But at the same time...
We had a conversation prior to this. The human brain is wired up.
Right.
To have habits. And if we get into a bad habit, that wiring is set fast. And it needs some form of, whether it be therapy, whether it be spiritual inner being,
right.
to unwire and rewire to reconnect, to get out of that bad habit.
Right. And it's having these conversations that hopefully are unwiring this situation with a lot of people, as it's done with me in the past.
Yeah.
To the point where you can turn around and say, no, N-O, this is not on my list. And it's not about it's not ego, D. It's not about being, who do you think you are? It's just, as in, Luke, this is what I want, because I know if I don't get that, or you don't get that, or you don't get that, it's just going to turn into disaster.
Yeah.
Complete and utter disaster. But not just for you, but for everyone connected with you as well.